Organisational transformation. Penny, Patrick and Lauren are university students currently studying BA Management at the University of the West of Scotland. Today we are going to present an organisational transformation. 3 areas that will be included within this presentation are 1. The change process, 2. Framework for change, and 3. From planned to emergent change.
What is the change process? The change process can be a crucial phase within a business. In some businesses, change can be a common event rather than an exception occurring as a daily task. During the process, some organisations struggle to select the most beneficial approach and structure to apply to their process. The process allows organisations to understand and assess the impact of planned changes, also supports employees through the process and highlights areas needing assistance. The Burns approach to change has 4 elements involved: the trigger, the remit, the assessment team and the assessment. These 4 elements will be critically analysed. The trigger. There's only one admissible reason to administrate change: to improve effectiveness. The triggers an event or series of events happen within an organisation to start the process. The trigger is the first stage in the process, and if a trigger did not appear, there's a chance the process would not begin. Change should only be considered for the following reasons. 1. The business, vision or strategy brings to light readiness for change or to strengthen overall performance. 2. Ongoing performance or operations highlights major issues or concerns are presented, or because of adapting conditions potentially could happen in the future. And 3. Recommendations or opportunities appear that could present remarkable outcomes for the business. Within the business, if one of these reasons stated appear, then the company should be triggered to assess the need for change, and this leads on to the next phase. The remit. The remit is the next phase in the change process. This is the phase where the reasons for the assessment are communicated, objectives of the change, and timescale of overall assessment. It analysed who is involved throughout the process and how to involve these individuals and the consequences if not implemented successfully. The technical and financial aspects of the change process are crucial considerations, but behavioural aspects are an important part and sometimes overlooked. Employees adopting a specific behaviour will be a factor in the overall success. Not having a clear structure with a set of objectives for each individual to complete will cause confusion and hinder the change process. In modern times, the decision does not always get finalised by senior management, but there is still an element to inform management. When an organisation is planning a change, there's more than one area can be involved, and it's crucial during the remit that coordination between departments is completed. To complete the remit stage, clarity and agreement on who has responsibility for what area of the change and who has overall responsibility. Moving on to the next phase is the assessment team. Before the change assessment is conducted, the assessment team is created. The assessment team are individuals who assess the need for change in the business, and the team should consist of different individuals with a range of skills and qualities. The team of individuals should be from each affected sector within the company and consist of both employees and management. Specialist employees from areas such as finance, HR, IT, etc. should be included within the team to add expert knowledge. If necessary, a change specialist should be enrolled to build on expert skills. The team should be balanced with equal skills, authority and personalities to create successful assessment. Dr. Meredith Belvin, who studied extensively into teamwork and created 19 roles to perfect the team. 1. Plant, creative, imaginative, problem solver but poor communicator. 2. Resource investigator, enthusiastic, expands opportunities, increases contract but loses focus. 3. Coordinator, mature, confident, encourages decision making but over delegates. 4. Shaper, dynamic, increased drive, increased drive, coverage with obstacles but too many shapers end in conflict. 5. Monitor, evaluator, strategic, open to all options but sometimes cynical and demotivating. 6. Team worker, cooperative, diplomatic, listener but lacks decisiveness. 7. Implementer, reliable, disciplined, ideas turned into action but only focused on one route. 8. Completer finisher, perfectionist, good time management but lacks delegation and obsesses on small details. And 9, the last one, specialist, self-starting, dedicated, excellent knowledge of field but lacks interest in others. Using Belwin's team roles has many advantages. The team consists of behavioural attributes compared to just job titles and allows self-aware employees to adapt their behaviour to the appropriate situation. It allows individuals to do the right action, creating better performing teams. One key quality to involving teams is a completer finisher, which ensures the task is fully finished to achieve desired change. That is why Belbin's roles are crucial, as the team only had this quality, the overall team would lack creativity, flair and enthusiasm. When the company is producing the teams going to conduct the assessment, important to pay attention to personalities and other attributes instead of solely focusing on skills of the individual. This ensures teams are evenly balanced and individuals within the team do not clash and disrupt the process. Moving on to the final stage, the assessment. Assessment is the final stage of the process. First task of the team is to review and if necessary, alter remits created. This will make sure the assessment continues in the right direction. Once clarification completed, assessment can begin following 4 steps. First is specifying problems or opportunities. This is collecting information from who is involved, analysing if a problem or opportunity is apparent within the business. If a threat or opportunity is highlighted, it can cause severe problems. A SWOT analysis can be completed to allow employees and management to understand the threat or opportunity needing attention, which continues on to the next stage, understanding alternative solutions to problems or opportunity. An in-depth evaluation should be conducted to understand possible solutions for the process. Earlier lists would have been compiled of agreed criteria that identifies both finances and benefits, which removes some unsuitable solutions right away and understands the most beneficial ones. Even though finance is another important area of some of these solutions, some are not related, especially behavioural and strategic changes. These are more focused on re-educating employees and management into new practices rather than investing physical money into the company. Understanding all the alternatives before confirming a selection will allow for all options to be considered and not a narrow-minded choice, which leads to the next phase, collecting feedback from the process. A definition of the threat and opportunity is stated and the range of possible solutions highlighted. This discussion allows to disregard solutions that are made to fit the problem and individuals who select solutions to benefit themselves and not the change. This ensures parties involved fully prepare for planned changes throughout. The feedback is a rich source of data and advantages and disadvantages communicate preferred solution. This information helps create a basis for confirming a choice. Effectively, the choice is trialled among employees to understand the rate of success from feedback and sets expectations. Finally, the recommendations and decisions are underway. From the defined threat or opportunity, the team present clear recommendations. The recommendations do not just understand the change, but all other aspects include timescale, resources, etc. Whoever has identified as the final decision maker now has to assess, alter, withhold or deny the team's recommendations, which stays aligned with the business's vision and strategic aims. When the change accepted it's crucial management ensure all employees clearly understand the objective of the goal exercise. Adapting to strict goal benefits to all employees. Smart objective framework is perfect to apply to a situation which can be seen on screen now. Having a solid goal setting framework will help business move forward with change and succeed. Even though a strong goal benefits a business, the planning stage and implementation is still essential for success. A lot of organisation change is inevitable and needs to be implemented correctly to positively impact the business. Adapting the process will help guide the business in the correct direction. Following the 4 steps analysed will help throughout. Each stage is crucial to the overall process to achieve successful change. In modern times, change can be a common occurrence, so selecting the appropriate structure that fits the organisation's needs and can be adapted to almost any situation will create a stronger business. Change rarely has one benefit, so even more important that all stages are completed accurately to maximise business productivity. And now I'll hand over to Patrick.
Hello, my name is Patrick Zimney and I will summarise Chapter 11 of the Burns book, pages 402 to 412. This chapter talks about the approaches and choices for change, which include the bold stroke and the long march approach. Some of the framework for change also mention that level, focus, and approach to each different stage. Pettigrew argued that there has to be an understanding for change to succeed. Changes can be a smooth incremental, which is a slow and systematic change, very much like the long march. Bump incremental, which is some change may be faster and some parts could be slower. No change during the bump incremental is at the same pace. And then we've got the discontinuous change, which is not really mentioned in this chapter, but it's relevant to the framework, which is basically an equilibrium model of opposing forces and influence forces which are balanced. So there is varieties of change. Those can be bold stroke or long march approach. Bold stroke is a very fast-paced change, and a long march is a steady incremental change that is applied over a longer period of time, focusing on the individual/group level along with attitudes and behaviours on a slow transformational scale. Bold stroke focuses on a large scale, fast change looking at the organisation, changing the structures. And as we can see here, the change is either stable and planned, which happens over a longer period of time, that focuses on the behaviour and the culture change, or it can be turbulent and emergent change, which is a lot more faster type of change, which happens quicker and usually changes the structure and processes. And neither approach is efficient for the same situation. Each change needs to be tailored to the business needs. Moving on. So as mentioned previously, to successfully transmission change, you need to understand that a planned change is slow and focuses on behaviour and culture, and a rapid emergent change happens quick and focuses on the structure and processes. If you look at quadrants in 1 and 4, they illustrate a slow transformational change which can be done on a small scale and focus on the attitudes and behaviours on the individual or group level, along with a large-scale transformation change, which focuses on the culture and effects on the whole organisation. So as we can see, like the change it's a planned change that happens over a much faster, much slower period of time than the rapid change. Which in this example, I've got McDonald's when they developed their new system over the years, which is known as Experience of the Future. That was minimizing the tills in each restaurant and just getting their business to be more efficient. So that was the slow change that happened over time. Now, if you look at quadrants 2 and 3, they illustrate a very fast-paced change, which can be done on either a small scale or a large scale. If done on a small scale, the fast change would focus on tasks and procedures using a Kaizen model, focusing on the individual or group. If the change is large, it will affect the whole organization and focus on the structures and processes using a bold stroke approach. So in here, we see like fast changes that happen over a much longer period of time. So if you look at COVID-19, some of the hospitality businesses uh, had to adapt. Outdoor click and collect, collecting at the curbside, app technologies, doing loads of rapid changes quick because of the circumstances that they were in, or else they wouldn't survive. Same with like cars. You're not allowed to go and see cars, so you're making videos, online showrooms, everything like that to keep up with the change. So we also have the smooth incremental, which is a slow development change to improve company performance, and a bumpy incremental, which is some change may be faster and slower, no change at the same pace, like I mentioned previously, and the equilibrium model having opposite forces influences, having a balance known as the discontinuous change. And then we've got the top-down systematic change, which is an initiative that comes from the top and has a centralized decision-making system at the top level of the company. Lower level staff are not involved in change in any way, even though that they're the ones that get affected by it. Which are imposed by higher management stages, and they aim to reduce levels of resistance. And we've got bargaining for change, which is a strategy that is developed and jointly agreed with the managers and the workers in a step-by-step order. And then a systematic joint agreement, which is made with managers and workers in order to achieve a successful organizational transformation. And here we have the theory E and the theory O. So the theory E is a very hard approach measured by the shareholder value with change involved in economic incentives. But however, with that comes a lot of layoffs, downsizing, and major reconstructions. And we've got the theory O, which is completely opposite to theory E. It's a very soft approach to build company culture, employee behaviours, attitudes, and commitments. And it's a slow incremental change that promotes organisational teamwork. And so as you can see here, theory E can achieve short-term financial targets to satisfy shareholders. However, it can deprive the company of their organizational culture and make it hard for them to survive in the long term. And in theory O, the downside of this is that theory is reconstructing essential activities and it's failing to satisfy the shareholders of the company. So Zumunto et al. Has said that if you look at the both theories, theory A and theory O, and take little bits of theory E and little bits of theory O, and then ensure you satisfy your shareholders, however, still work on the company culture and still have the culture to prevent any unsuccess and maximize the best optimum performance for those models. So there we go. That concludes chapter pages 402 to 412. Having a framework for change is just as important as understanding change. And COVID-19 made many companies and sectors adapt to very fast-paced change in order to succeed, known as the bold stroke. And no theory is the same, and choosing one most tailored to the company's needs is key to succeed. Thanks very much, guys. I will be passing on to Lauren now.
Chapter 10 focuses on developments in change management, specifically on plan to emergent change, and a contingency approach to change. Change management is the process whereby an organisation will move from one defined state to another using processes and tools to manage the change. Planned change. Planned change is where the organisation as a whole is prepared for the change process. During planned change, the new organisational goals, objectives and expectations will be clearly communicated to all the staff within the organisation. Kurt Lewin developed a change model that involves undertaking planning change in 3 steps: freezing, moving and refreezing. This model was developed by the OD movement to ensure that it captured organisational-wide change rather than just the people aspect. Criticisms of planned change. This approach is viewed as being linear and has faced criticism as it focuses on a one-way approach to change will fit all. It also suggests that when the change has been refrozen, there will not be a need for further change or organisational development and movement. In addition, this approach relies heavily on management to be accountable for the implementation of the change and does not allow for continuous progress and development. Organisations can be viewed as dynamic, and planning does not allow for continuous change and development, given that we know that the organisational environment in addition is also considered dynamic. Change can therefore be argued to be emergent. Emergent change. Emergent change is viewed as occurring naturally and is responsive to the changing needs of the organisation. The organisation will continually adapt to the changing environment through realignment as and when this occurs. Unlike planned change, this form of change is not linear and will allow the organisation to be prepared for strategic changes which supports to reduced resistance as the change is not radical. The strategic changes and strategies can be implemented simultaneously. Criticisms of emergent change. The main criticism of this approach to change is that it is reactive, as the need for change can occur without any notice, which can lead to resistance. Emergent strategies to change develop as part of the ongoing organisational activities as and when the need for development is required. And finally, emergent change does not allow scope for more careful planning. This takes us on to the contingency perspective. Contingency planning is where the organisation will plan for a specific outcome in addition to the expected outcome. Research suggests that in order for the organisation to react and respond appropriately, it must utilise the required resources in a timely and appropriate manner. In order for this to be the case, every situation that brings about a change will therefore be different, and that will require a different plan to manage and implement the change required successfully. To conclude, the synopsis has identified that there is more than one way to manage change, and that the occurrence of either planned change, emergent change, or contingency planning to change will be situational, dependent on the internal and external environment, as well as the factors that have occurred that require a response through change. Just to recap, planned change focuses on the activities that must take place to initiate and implement successful change. Emergent change is uncertain and unplanned for and allows for the quick development of strategies and improvements. And contingency planning considers different outcomes and formulates a plan for many eventualities. Research also tells us that managers have to be creative, adaptive, and flexible to change and continuously seek to improve process for the change so that it can be successfully implemented in whichever method that they choose to adopt. We'll now take this time to take any questions that you may have. Thank you for watching our presentation.